Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. So I posted on Instagram and I asked you guys what mental health video I should film this week, and I had a ton of suggestions which I plan to go through at the end of the year. Like by the end of the year I'd like to go through like a fair chunk of those, but the topic I'm going to be talking about today, which has been suggested by you guys, is the topic of people using mental health as an excuse or using mental health as an excuse. And there's different ways that you can interpret this, but from what I gathered from the comments is like how to deal with someone who's always like using their mental health as an excuse for bad behavior. And this is what I wanted to talk about today. I don't know if you guys have had a friend or you yourself has used your diagnosis as an excuse, such as my anxiety's flaring up, that's why I did that to you, or I'm bipolar, I never mean what I said, so don't take what I say seriously, after that person said something really mean to you, or someone saying, oh, I'm sorry I did that to you, but I'm depressed, so like what can you do? I don't know about you guys, but when I was younger and I was going through a lot and I was a teenager, I also used my diagnosis as an excuse. I'd be like, hey, well, I'm depressed, so. And I guess it's like true because it's like, look, I'm going through a lot, so please cut me some slack. But for example, if you get hurt and the person who hurt you uses their diagnosis as an excuse, your first thought shouldn't be like, I don't believe their diagnosis, or I don't believe you, like. And the reason why I say that is because if someone's claiming to have a mental illness and that itself you need some sort of support, some sort of help, you should still help them and you should still support them. For example, if someone self-harms for attention, they need just as much help as someone who is self-harming not for attention. Because if you want to be known for like being sick, then maybe you are. So if you're not a doctor, don't ever say like, oh, I don't believe you, like I don't believe your diagnosis, especially like don't think that, but don't say that out loud, especially. You know, if they're claiming to be going through a lot, if you can be the bigger person, which is easier like said than done, to just like simmer down. Just remember that anyone who's going through a lot, they're going to be a bit more careless and they might get heated up, they might crack under the pressure. Just like keep that in mind, so when things do like simmer down, maybe that's a better time to bring up and be like, hey, I don't think it's okay that you use your diagnosis as an excuse for bad behavior. I'm pretty sure their intention when they bring up their mental illness in an argument or a fight is them trying to be like, I wish you could just understand me. Like, I did that because my borderline personality disorder. Like, I wish you could understand what that means. Even going above and beyond and looking up what they claim to have. Learning about their diagnosis will just give you more patience with them, maybe, to understand them more. Will give them peace of mind knowing that, like, you're at least trying to understand. The reason why they want you to understand is because every diagnosis has its own thing. Like, for example, people with borderline personality disorder, most of them, or a lot of them, have a fear of abandonment, which causes them to do certain things, these behavioral acts that may push people away or might make them cling too close to people. And them trying to say, oh, I did that, or I'm like this because of my BPD, is them trying to say, like, look, like, you need to research on this. Like, I don't know how to explain myself, but I know that this is what I have, and I've, like, lived in my head my whole life, so I know that this is what I have. So could you please look up on it and, like, understand me? So if you are the person who is saying, like, oh, the only reason I got so angry at you was because I'm bipolar, and they don't really have an excuse or really have any explanation to like a situation where you confront them. If you're that person who's always using your diagnosis as an excuse for bad behavior, just remember that most people aren't entirely educated on mental health, and some people don't even know like what mental health is. For example, if your granddad who's a bit older, he doesn't really understand mental health, you end up having an argument or a fight with him and you're yelling and screaming at him and you throw a plate at the floor or something, and he's like, why did you do that? And you're like, well, I have bipolar, I'm angry. He's gonna think, and anyone else who heard that and who's not educated on mental health is gonna think everyone who has bipolar disorder is angry, is violent, is irrational. they might think that, and it creates the stigma for your diagnosis. For example, like with bipolar, when I first heard it, the first few times I heard it, by the time I was 10, I thought bipolar were just suddenly someone's really angry and the next minute they're really lovey-dovey, which is like not true. So it creates a stigma on that diagnosis. Like if you have BPD, for example, and you kick and scream and you hit and punch, and someone's like, why are you always so violent? And you say, oh, it's because of my BPD. Those people who are not educated on mental health, they're gonna think all people with BPD are violent and like that. And then other people who actually have BPD, they're gonna feel like, oh my god, like I don't want to tell people I have BPD because everyone thinks that people who have it are violent. Like, that's just for an example. And so you end up, like, promoting the stigma against your own, like, diagnosis. But then also, because of that, if, for example, your granddad is uneducated on, like, mental health or whatever, and you, like, sit him down, you're like, hey, like, this has been a real big topic in my head for my whole life. I've been seeing a doctor and I got a diagnosis, and I just wanted to tell you because it's been a year now, like I'm diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And then your granddad says, how can you have bipolar? I never see you angry. Then it's like, not all people with bipolar disorder are always angry. So then it makes it hard for those people to believe other people's diagnosis, because they're like, how can you be depressed when I see you happy all the time, when I see you dancing all the time, when I see you smiling all the time? Just because people are depressed doesn't mean they can't smile, doesn't mean they can't dance, doesn't mean they can't fake a laugh, you know? Long story short, in this like little tangent I went on, is that if you tell someone who's uneducated or unaware of mental health issues, if you tell them like, oh, the reason why I did that was because of my such and such diagnosis, they're gonna hear like, oh, the only reason I did that is because I'm a Sagittarius, or like, or because I'm a Leo, or because I'm a Pisces. Like, they're gonna like be like, what? Like, what? It's just not really a valid excuse for having bad behavior or doing something bad. The best time and the best place to explain your disorder to someone is when you're calm, in like a nice, comfortable, calm environment, and that way they're actually willing to like learn and understand. There's no point in trying to teach someone about your head when they're already angry at you, because they don't care, because they might be angry. So yeah, I don't think you want to learn anything when you're in like a really angry mood. Cool, calm environment when you explain it, and it will just like save you some time in the future, and will give them a little bit more patience with you when you are having arguments. But yeah, these excuses should not be regular. If anyone in your life is like regularly like fucking you over and being like, oh, I only did that because of my diagnosis or because of this and that, you actually like probably need to sit them down and be like, yo, like, you can't do this. This ain't cool. And for those people who are asking about the topic, mental health is an excuse, referring to, like, mental health being my excuse to, like, not do certain things. So, for example, if you have anxiety and it makes it really hard for you to, like, go to a certain event, for example, your favorite band finally arrived in your city and they're playing, like, just down your street, and the tickets are free, and it's a sunny day, and there's literally no reason why you shouldn't go see your favorite band. You have anxiety, and for some reason, like that day, you're just feeling super, super anxious. You shouldn't let any of your diagnosis, any of these words that were given to you on a piece of paper by your doctor, to hold you back from living your best life. There's no point in being like, well, I'd like to try bungee jumping, or I'd like to try skateboarding, or I'd like to try cycling or something, but I'm just too anxious. I know it's easier said than done, like, obviously, sorry, I haven't planned this video, so, like, obviously it's easier said than done to just, like, not let your anxiety be the best of you, and just know that, like, helping yourself grow is getting out of that box that you put yourself in. We're all in a cage, and it's a cage that we built ourselves. So we just gotta, like, step out of that cage and be like, hey, like, why did I always think that, like, the world out there was gonna kill me? Like, what? I don't know how to explain this any better, guys. Like, I'm not really good at this. I haven't filmed, like a sit-down video in so long, and that's probably why. You can probably tell. But yeah, I've been diagnosed with depression and other mental illnesses. And so, knowing that, like, even though I was anxious as fuck to leave my house, every day I just tried a bit more and a bit more. I forced myself out because I knew I didn't want to go out. Didn't want to use the label anxiety as an excuse to not let me go to things. I didn't want someone to be like, hey, come to this party, and me be like, oh, I'm sorry, like, I have anxiety or something like that. Like, I never wanted to explain to someone and be like, oh, the reason why I can't do this thing is because of my anxiety. I always wanted to push myself and say, like, that's not an excuse. Like, this is a perfect day, perfect weather, this is a free concert, it is fucking a concert down the road. There's literally no reason why I can't go see my favorite band, but the excuse of, oh, it's my anxiety. Like, I'm telling my friend, like, oh, I can't go there because of my anxiety. Like, I never want to do that. And I trained myself, like, out of that. Out of, like, saying it, out of thinking it, out of believing it, and then just, like, pushing myself. And then with depression, just pushing myself that eating healthy will make me feel better. Pushing myself to meditate even though I'm like, fuck, I don't feel like doing this. Like, pushing myself to smile and to do things that are good for me and to do things that make me happy. Even though I was like, I'm depressed. Like, why should I do this? Like, I don't even know where I'm going with this. Like, anyways, I want to thank you guys so much. I want to thank my patrons as well. But yeah, thank you guys so much for supporting me. You're the reason why I'm able to upload on YouTube. You're the reason why I'm able to do anything, really. And yeah, I really, really love you guys. I've sent some letters out, so I'm excited for you guys to read them. And yeah, anyways, I hope everyone's having an awesome day, an awesome week. And yeah, let me know what other mental health videos I should film next. I will probably write like my top 10 in the comments, and all I want you to do is like pick which number you want. So maybe number 1 will be like anxiety, like 2 self-harm or something like that. And if you want a video on like anxiety, you can just write number 1. And if you want like something else, you can write number like 10. Anyways, love you guys so much. Thank you so much for supporting me. And yeah, have a good day. Bye. By the way, guys, my aesthetic hasn't changed. The reason why the backdrop in my room looks different is because this is my boyfriend's room. He moved in with me. So that's why it's not like filled with tapestries or anything. So if anyone's gonna come at me and say that I've changed, I haven't, okay? My room is still covered in tapestries.